Thank you for joining us this morning. This is actually our first meeting for 2022. And I believe that our first two meetings of the year from a membership standpoint is extremely important because we have back-to-back deadlines, which means we're going to be extremely busy until the end of March, right? And so this meeting becomes even more important for our new AEs and membership staff because this may be their first time going through this process. Now, for those of you that have been around for a year or longer, this is going to be a good refresher for you. So today, I'm just going to be focused on the February 28 dues delinquency deadline, C.A.R.'s late fee. I'm also going to cover the RAF and HAF refund procedures, and then I'll just close it out with information regarding NAR's Code of Ethics deadline. So the February 28 dues delinquency deadline has actually been in place for over 25 years. And for those of you that are new, you're probably wondering, where is this information located in the bylaws? And what do the bylaws say about the dues delinquency deadline, right? Well, the bylaws doesn't specifically say February 28, but that date is implied by the language that is used in the bylaws. Look at what the bylaw says. So if you look at Article 9, Section 3, it says dues for all members is payable annually in advance of the first day of January. So simply put, dues are due on or before January 1st of each year. Section 4 says non-paying members can be inactivated for non-payment within 1 month of the due date and then terminated within 2 months of the due date. And so what this means is local associations can choose to inactivate unpaid members within 30 days after the due date, which would be January 31st, but all unpaid members must be terminated within 2 months of the due date, which is February 28th. And so this is really just the simplified version of the February 28 dues delinquency deadline. And so during our meetings, my goal is really just to try and simplify things that appear to be complicated. And the dues delinquency deadline can sometimes feel complicated, right? But it's simply a two-step process. Now, the first step in the process is to inactivate all unpaid active members on or before February 28th. That means if you have not received a dues payment for an active member, they must be inactivated by February 28th. Simple, right? Now, the second step in the process is you must submit dues payments for all active renewing members through NAR's e-commerce system on or before February 28th. Now, if your members paid their dues through NAR's online invoicing module, or if your system is set up so that when your members pay their dues through your online portal and the dues money is automatically split and sent to C.A.R., then you're good. But if your association collects the C.A.R. dues money and it's held in your association's bank account, then C.A.R. is expecting you to send the dues money on or before February 28th through NAR's e-commerce system. Would you guys agree that's a simple process, right? So now for our new AEs and membership staff, you're probably wondering, how do you access NAR's e-commerce systems to submit dues payments? And do we have any instructions for this process, right? Well, the great news is we created a step-by-step training video that will walk you through the entire process. I have included the link, as well as the link to our YouTube channel where you can access all of our training videos. I just want to say kudos to Nick for creating the videos. He did an excellent job. So as I mentioned earlier, we have two major deadlines during the first quarter of the year, right? And what you'll find is the steps that you take in one deadline impacts another. So let's talk about what happens when you inactivate your unpaid members on or before February 28th. Now, this part of this process is important because when you inactivate, suspend, or terminate a member that is still hanging their license with their broker, they automatically become an NMSP on the BCT. This means these records will have a negative impact on your NMSP score. And so this is very important to remember as we go through the dues delinquency process, because at the end of this deadline, you will have 30 days to meet the next deadline, which is the NMSP compliance score deadline. Now, today we're just going to be focused mainly on the dues delinquency deadline, but we'll be more focused on the compliance deadline at our next session. So when we talk about the dues deadline, we also have to talk about the C.A.R. late fee, because most members that are inactivated on February 28th usually decide to renew their membership on March 1st because they no longer have access to zip forms, right? Well, C.A.R.'s $30 late fee goes into effect on March 1st. What this means is your members that renew on or after March 1st will be assessed a $30 late fee. Now, your members will have all kinds of reasons why they were late, and some of them will have valid excuses, but keep in mind, C.A.R. will not waive the $30 late fee. Please let your members know that C.A.R. has already given them a 60-day grace period from January 1st to February 28th. Also, the membership department does not have the authority to waive any, to approve any waivers. So if you have members that just won't take no for an answer, just please have them send an email to accounting@car.org with the reason why they are requesting the waiver. They will most likely get a response back that says, C.A.R. does not waive the $30 late fee, which is just confirming what I'm telling you right now. So these are just things to remember, because members will always want an immediate answer, right? So now what I want to do is I just want to walk you through the step-by-step process of what happens to a member's record when you inactivate your unpaid members. The reason why it's important to understand this process is because associations will inactivate a member, and then you're trying to figure out, why is this member still on my BCT, right? So let's walk through the process to see what happens to this member's record when they're inactivated. So, excuse me, members with the status of inactive, terminated, or suspended will automatically become NMSPs. And these licensees will now appear on the your broker's primary association, BCT, which will have a negative impact on your NMSP score. Now, in order for the local associations to be compliant by the March 31st compliance deadline, your brokers will have the following options available to them to resolve these non-member issues. Now, the broker can pay the NMSP fee, which is $184 for C.A.R. and $150 for NAR. Local associations also have the option to include a non-member fee as well, but keep in mind, your non-member fee can't exceed your current local dues amount. The broker can also remove the agent's license. Once the broker removes the agent's license status is then moved to licensed MBA. Our system will remove the agent from the BCT with a process that usually takes place every Monday at 10 a.m. Also, the broker can, the licensee has the option to join as a realtor member. And then last, the broker can certify the agent as a LIFRO, which means this agent can only refer clients to the broker for a commission and cannot be an MLS subscriber or participant. Very important to remember. So just to be clear, in order to prevent a non-member salesperson, also known as NMSP, from having a negative impact on your NMSP score, one of the 4 options that we just went over will have to take place. That's the only way that the broker will be able to resolve the non-member issue. So everything that I was just explaining most likely made sense to those who have been around for a year or longer, right? So in order to bring our new AEs and membership staff up to speed, we have another training video in our YouTube channel that will walk you through the process of how to access the BCT, how to identify your NMSP score, how to identify delinquent records, and most importantly, how to achieve the 97% NMSP objective by March 31st. Now, it's not fun, being new and not having access to the things that you need, right? And so our goal is really just to make sure that you have everything that you need to be successful. And so my goal today is really just to make sure that you know exactly what's important right now. After we are finished with this webinar this morning, you will be focused on multiple things, which include inactivating your unpaid active members before the February 28th deadline. You're also going to be submitting dues payments for all renewing members through NAR's e-commerce system on or before February 28th. You also have access to the training video that will walk you through the step-by-step process if you have any questions. And then C.A.R's role in the process is we will be requesting a member file from M1 on March 1st. C.A.R will build the association for all active renewing members that are included in the March 1st M1 file, which is another important reason to inactivate unpaid members by February 28th. You want to make sure your unpaid members are not included in the dues calculation when C.A.R builds the association. And then last, members that renew their 2022 membership on March 1st will be assessed a $30 late fee. And again, C.A.R will not waive the $30 late fee. So we pretty much just covered everything that you need to know regarding the upcoming February 28th dues delinquency deadline. And again, it's basically a two-step process with many layers. So let's talk about the RAF and HAF refund procedures. Now, all RAF and HAF refunds are handled through our finance department. So if you have a member that mistakenly contributed to RAF or HAF, it is very important that you follow these steps. Now, the first step in the process is to send an email to accounting@car.org and include the member's name, nurse ID number, EC control number if you have that information, check number if you have that, and the RAF and HAF refund amount. Step number 2, you need to send up the negative financial record to M1 to offset the original payment record. And then step number 3, C.A.R's finance department will work with the local association to expedite the member's refund. So again, the refund process starts with an email to accounting@car.org. All right, so let's talk about the NAR Code of Ethics. As you know, the Code of Ethics cycle changed from a 2-year cycle to every 3 years in November of 2019. So NAR now requires every realtor to take an ethics course every 3 years. The good news is C.A.R offers a free ethics course to all members. Now, if they take the course through C.A.R, that information will be uploaded to M1 to reflect cycle 6. Now, one of the questions that has come up often is, do C.A.R honorary members have to complete the Code of Ethics training? And the answer is yes. Only NAR emeritus members are exempt from the Code of Ethics training. As you know, NAR has set some guidelines for members that did not meet the December 31st deadline. Members that did not meet the deadline are supposed to be suspended, and they have until March 1st to complete the required ethics course. Now, according to NAR, members that are suspended are still required to pay their dues. So with that said, one of the things that we talked about earlier is inactive, suspended, and terminated members automatically become NMSPs on the BCT, right? And these licensees will have a negative impact on your score. So in order to prevent that from happening, if you have members that have paid their 2022 dues and their financial record appears on their M1 record, but their status is now inactive, suspended, or terminated for not meeting the COE requirements, please send an email to Nick and myself and include the member's nurse ID number, and we will add them to the TRM exemption. This will prevent these records from having a negative impact on your NMSP score. This will definitely be less stress on the associations leading up to the March 31st NMSP score, right? So The question that came up earlier was, what happens if a member takes the course after March 1st, right? Well, according to NAR, they are retiring cycle 6 as of March 1st and releasing cycle 7. So their ethics training will reflect cycle 7 if they take the course after March 1st. And that concludes my session. Any questions?